How did city planners in New York acquire some of the most valuable land in the country? They stole it from Black people.
Seneca Village was a community of African American, Irish, and German immigrants that existed in the 19th century in an area that was known as the Pre-Park area. It was roughly between 82nd and 89th Streets, between 7th and 8th Avenues in New York City. There were about 300 people that lived in the community, particularly towards the end and towards its demise. And we've been on this mission to find descendants to help tell this story.
The year is 1825, and a 25-year-old African-American shoeshiner named Andrew Williams spends $125 to purchase 3 of the available 200 lots in the newly founded Seneca Village, located between West 82nd Street and West 89th Street in Manhattan. Epiphany Davis, a store clerk, buys 12 lots for $578. And it isn't long before this new community is full of free Black people. But in the 1840s, city officials in New York decided it was time to build a massive park on Manhattan Island. They initially planned to take land from wealthy white folks on the Upper East Side. The land was valuable and convenient to exactly the people they intended the park for. The problem is that those white homeowners weren't having it. They sued the city and were easily able to prevent the government from taking their land, and proposed instead that city officials just take Black-owned land in Seneca Village. The plan was insidious: deride Black people as scoundrels and vagabonds and squatters, use the media to play up racist stereotypes and call for the removal of their community, all to build public support for the theft of their land. And it worked. Despite protests and legal resistance by residents, all of the inhabitants were evicted by 1857. At least 50 homes, 3 churches, a school for Black children, and a burial ground were destroyed. Seneca Village died, and the world-famous Central Park was born. The effects were devastating. Not only did residents of Seneca Village feel the pain of economic loss, the community represented so much more. In the summer of 1834, for example, Seneca Village served as a safe haven for African Americans during pro-slavery riots, which targeted Black people and their property across the city of New York. And when the Civil War sparked the resurgence of those riots 30 years later in 1863, Seneca Village's absence was even more noticeable. City planners across the country would use this exact playbook 100 years later in the 1950s and 60s to destroy Black communities all over America through programs called urban renewal. And the downstream economic impacts of these coordinated efforts are virtually incalculable. As some of the most coveted and visited land in the world, economists have tried to approximate the real estate value of Central Park. Conservative estimates place the value of the land once known as Seneca Village at around $500 million today. What's clear is that something was taken from this Black community, and something is owed.